Joining us now in Studio B, good friend of the program, a man who was in our BYU Sports Nation co-host depth chart along with Dennis Pitta, Brian Logan.
Hey, Spencer.
What's up, Brian?
Hi. How you guys doing?
We're good. Hey, listen, on Saturday during the postgame show, you were fired up about what you saw
I was,
between BYU and Portland State.
Now. You okay?
I am.
Needed Sunday.
The guys calmed me down. Some of the former players had some conversations with them yesterday, some this morning, and they calmed me down, man. They made me feel good. They kind of shoved the chill pill down my throat.
The sky is not falling.
No, and I didn't think that it was time to jump off a ledge. I think that I was just disappointed more in just the effort, right? And I think now looking at it and talking to those guys and being settled down, I don't think I really took into consideration all the different variables. And I think the biggest one was the amount of players that actually played. And so, yes, it's the first game and you're shaking off cobwebs, but how fast and how much can you shake off when you are rotating every couple of snaps, right? So that, put it into perspective, and I'm back. I'm good.
Okay, I thought the BYU defense was just fine. I thought statistically they were good. It was the offense where mainly, to me, the number one thing was penalties just really disrupted the flow.
Yeah, the penalties, man. And that's the best word to say is just like the chemistry, the flow, the rhythm, right? You can't get into a rhythm at all when you have those penalties. And then you throw in, the different guys rotating, and nobody can really find, their juice is what I say it. And that's the biggest thing right there is you can't have drive killers. And they got to figure it out, man. They got to figure it out. And I think the biggest thing too is the heat, right? When you're tired, you're exhausted, you just like, I just want some juice. I just want some water. I play LSU. I just get these bums off. I want to go home, and it was funny. I was hot, right? And I ended up going home, right? We were on the sideline, and I was like, you guys ready to go in? And you guys were like, no, I'm good. And I was like, man, I'm out. So I went home and cooled off. And after the game, was with Uncle B, and we talked to Gavin, and his cheek pads, he had a tan from his cheek pads. I was like, how is that possible? How's the angle of the sun come in to where your cheek pads, you have a tan line. So, man, just one, respect for them, and happy nobody really got seriously, injured or taken away from the sun. But you throw all that into the mix, man, and you get some bonehead penalties.
Let's talk about that, because on the field, it was recorded as hot as 108 degrees. Yeah. And in the first half, there were at least 24 people that had medical emergencies in the stands.
So passing out, heat exhaustion.
Yeah. And, it was hot, man. And that certainly played into the weirdness of the game a little bit. That's not an excuse for only 20 points on the board, but it certainly plays a role.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not an I would say what it is this. When you have penalties, it's just a simple mental breakdown, right? And these are penalties that, they're not necessarily boneheaded ones, so it's like hitting somebody late or aggression type of penalties. These are simple, technical things that you've been doing since Pee-wees. And when you don't do those things and you're making the same penalties over and over in the same game, that lets me know your mentality isn't there, right? And I don't care about the experience or throw all that aside. If your mindset is, I'm hot, let's get out of here, LSU, you're going to hold somebody, right? You're not going to focus on the small little details that you need to be successful, and you end up, killing the drive and looking bad against an FCS opponent.
LSU had a watch party. We saw a picture of the defensive linemen all together with their eyes on the television, soaking in every play.
They all had saliva on their chin.
BYU.
They're like, oh, let's go.
Stat game.
Now, the challenge for the LSU coaching staff, to a degree, will be, look, this BYU football team is going to be tougher than what you think you saw against Portland State on Saturday. Also, everything that's going on in Houston, LSU players have family, relatives that are being impacted, and just a really unfortunate situation. So that coaching staff, they have their hands full trying to collect the thoughts of all these guys and get them ready to play BYU. What LSU team do you expect to show up against BYU wherever the game is played?
Ooh, man, I mean, it's tough because they probably are more affected by it since they're closer to the area with family and friends.
Not to mention a huge alumni base in Houston.
Right. Yeah, that. Aren't they like number 2? Isn't like Houston number 2?
It might even be
like
number
or number
one.
one.
There are more
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
more LSU alumni in Houston than any other city in America.
Right. There, and
It's-
they've been hearing this all year, right?
Yes.
You know, once the game was scheduled and you get to play at a neutral site, that automatically heightens everything for a player. And it you kind of have this bowl game type of feel, right? And so to have this tragedy happen and then to look at this team that almost lost to FCS opponent, it's tough, man. And I think that BYU can have an opportunity, very early, if it's like a boxing match, right? Mayweather, right? You got to get Mayweather in the first couple of rounds because we all saw what happened on Saturday if you wait and try to go toe-to-toe with
Run
him.
out of gas.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so I think with the distractions, with it being their first game, and then seeing the performance of BYU on Saturday, I think they have an opportunity. And it's not like an FCS opponent where if an FCS opponent gets on top of a D1 program, that D1 program can catch up. Usually, right? That it happens. And so I don't think BYU's a good enough team. They have talent in the places that they need to where I don't think that LSU can catch up. And what I mean catch up by is kind of like Oklahoma, right? Once we were in it head to head, and then kind of once we turned that corner, there was really it wasn't like, hey, Oklahoma or fans, hey, don't worry guys, we're good. You didn't get that feel. It was like,
Well, to
do
them,
something.
To them, it was Utah State 2014. Taysom
Right.
Hill goes out, and the backup's in, and it's full panic mode
Yeah.
when Sam Bradford goes out.
Yeah, 100%.
This time it's a running back, and his name's
Yeah.
Darius Geis, and to
Yep.
me, he's the best offensive player BYU will face in 2017. How do you think BYU stacks up against Geis?
It's it's hard because it's when you look at guys like him and I don't even know if I can compare him to Jamal, and it's not even a knock on Jamal. I mean, you're talking about a top top 5 running back coming out of the class, and you talk about first round, early round opportunity, and guys like that, it's just cheating. I feel like God specifically stopped during the creation moment and handcrafted a guy like that, and it's hard, and so you got to do it by committee. That's the bottom line. And again, there's nothing. I'm not saying anything negative or bad about this BYU team. It's just that this guy is overly talented than an average talented guy, if that makes sense, right? And so when it comes to wrapping up, when it comes to always having an eye on him, that's what you got to do. And when we play guys like that, and I can't think of a guy except for the quarterbacks, which wasn't. I mean, we got to look at him every play, right? We just always made sure, hey, 8 right here, number 8's right here. Everybody knows. Look up, take a moment, and that gets you aware, get your mindset prepared for any play in the moment. And so it's like things like that. And I think the coaching staff has to have an emphasis of this. Look, this guy right here is not another guy. Like how we talk about with Utah, this is not just another game. No, you can say that about this guy. This is not another guy. I would even at practice, I would have somebody in a jersey on the scout team and tape his number on. And so, hey, we're gonna go through this in practice every single day and get used to it for the game time situation. I'd have him have a green or yellow jersey on. But you preparing like that is how you can try to stop him or slow him down, right? Because
Slow him down.
Let's not say stop.
Yep.
Former BYU football standout, defensive back Brian Logan with us in Studio B discussing BYU and LSU. And to your credit, Brian, on the BYU side of things, speaking of running backs, you went out on a limb and said you thought Squally Canada would be the guy for BYU on Saturday, which brings us to our stat of the day.
It's the BYU Sports Nation stat of the day.
Squally Canada rushed for a career-high 94 yards on 15 carries, had a touchdown, 6.3 yards per carry. You just knew this was going to happen, didn't you?
Yeah.
So you got the Y factor, man.
So, I mean, I told you guys it was either between Sione or Squally.
No one picked a defensive player, by the way.
No, and I almost did. Cause
You would have won either way.
I think you would have won with Sione.
We know the system, man. We know the system, which is you got to pick an offensive guy if you want to win. That's just the bottom line. And that's why, like, something at the last minute was like, pick him, but don't do it. Just stick with Squally. even though it goes against you, like your spirit and like your butterflies and your gut, just stick with Squally, and it's because of that. It's because of the system. And I think Squally did good, and talking to some of the former players, they didn't really seem to agree with me. But talking to Grandpa B, Brandon Bradley, before I got here, he said,
Grandpa B.
Grandpa B, the salt. Hey, he got the nice salt and pepper going, man.
That beard, man.
Hey, when I grow up, I want to look just like Grandpa B. And he kind of put them and gave them a reality check and said, look, when you are a backup, your mentality is completely different. So even though, yeah, Brian, he had good reps and he had good experience, he was behind a good back, your pressure is completely up. If I go in and I mess up, oh, well, I'm in the same position I'm in now. But now, fast forward this year, I'm the guy. It's my opportunity to lose the job. And so, Brandon, and I'm giving him credit and props for this, thinks it's going to take a little bit more time for us to start seeing those 40, 60-yard runs that we know he's capable of doing.
Well, he ripped off a 34-yarder on Saturday.
Kavik Fonua, 63 yards, 9 yards a carry. Not bad.
Oh, yeah. He had some taken back, right?
He had a big one taken back.
I'd be mad. I'd be like, O-line, you got to buy me lunch.
Brian, great to talk to you. Thanks for coming in on a busy Monday.